welcome back to the Packaging Experience podcast. And always with me, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good. How's Florida going? The weather and
Hot,
everything.
hot and humid. We tried to film this outside, and then I just started sweating profusely about 2 minutes in. So we're getting the lovely background of my office/guest bedroom. Well, the reason I have the door open is there's actually paint swatches behind that door where my wife is testing out. So that's her next project that she's working on. So super fun there. I think I've mentioned my wife in every podcast so far. That's weird. I gotta stop doing that.
That's a positive right there. Today's podcast, Tom, if you want to kind of let the listeners know what we're going to be talking about today, and then we can kind of dive into it.
Yeah. So, what we're really going to talk about today is most of the time when you're making a stand-up sort of pouch, if it's a stand-up pouch for dry goods or some sort of stand-up pouch for frozen products, there's a gusset in there. And in order to get the bags to stand up, you need some rigidity, right? Or else the bag is going to fold over or kind of slump over. So, what we want to do is move a lot of people from laminated structure into a surface print structure because it's inherently sustainable. But in the past, a surface print structure didn't have the rigidity to stand up, but we're changing that. And that's what we want to talk about is we can actually get stand up pouches with a surface print or a mono web, just pure polyethylene. And that's really exciting because it should be more cost effective. And we'll get into all the details of why that's exciting. But anyway, surface print is evolving because there's just so much more demand for surface print because there's so much more demand for sustainable packaging. So that's kind of what we're going to dive into today.
The engineering of it a little bit on how it stands up. Why do they prefer to have packaging that stands up? I mean, I feel like that's something we always see in the grocery stores. We're always looking at the shelves. I mean, is it because it's eye appealing or is there like an actual reason behind it?
Yeah, great question. So if you kind of think about packaging is a brand or a label's billboard, right? It's their advertising. So when, let's say I'm brand XYZ and I want to be in Publix, well, depending on where your product is going, you pay for that shelf space to have that. So like middle aisles at eye level are the most premium because they know they're going to get the most exposure to the consumer walking around the store, right? So if you're paying top dollar to be eye level in the middle row of a grocery store like a Publix or what have you, you're going to want your packaging to stand out. So stand-up pouching or stand-up packaging looks really nice in dry goods, right? You have like a nice thing of chia seeds or whatever, and it's got, some gloss, some matte. It's just really trying to get the consumer to reach out and engage with that packaging. And they do these market studies that say, if you have like a gloss differential, like some matte and some gloss, that the consumer is more likely to pick up the package. And then there's another study that says once a consumer picks up a package, then they're way more likely to actually purchase that product. So it all goes into market studies, right? So that stand-up pouch is really nice because it's up there and you can basically put all of the stuff you want as far as color and gloss differential and information about the product that's inside of it. And it stands up and it's basically a standing billboard for the product within it. In the freezer aisle, it's a little bit different. You might do a double tucked gusset bag. So you have two tucks on the side and it stands up and it shows you Ore-Ida tater tots or, shoestring fries or something like that. So that's really common in the potato realm. So that's why you do stand up is basically it turns your package into a billboard.
Even for you and I as a podcast, what we normally talk about is how we can recycle it and stuff like that. And that stuff is leaning towards easier to be recycled. I mean, from what I understand is after you're done printing it, you can dispose of it a little bit easier than normal than what we've been using in the past.
Yeah, that's kind of a callback to our first podcast when we were talking about how to recycle polyethylene, the number 4 Mobius. Yeah. You might see the store drop off on there. When our rigid surface print is already pre-certified by the Sustainable Packaging Coalition, or known as SPC, for store drop-off. So if this is something that you wanted to get into, you don't have to fill out this big long form and worry about whether the SPC is going to approve it for store drop-off. It's already approved, which is great. And this is why we're trying to move so many customers from a polyester polyethylene stand-up pouch into a surface print stand-up pouch, because now it's recyclable and we're eliminating that lamination step. So maybe we should go again, let's talk about how it was before and then what we're moving into. And there's like 6 or 7 benefits of moving into this version. All right. So what we want to talk about is how a stand-up pouch was made in the past and then how we're doing it now with the more rigid surface print. So you can get a gusseted bag, a double tuck side gusset, a single tuck side gusset, a bottom gusset.
Yeah.
So in the past, again, it was polyester. And the reason you're printing on the polyester is it's adding that rigidity. The polyester was what was making it stand up because polyester has good dimensional stability, where polyethylene is more loosey goosey. So polyethylene was just done for pillow bags because there's no expectation of a pillow bag to stand up. So in the past, we had polyester laminated to polyethylene. The issue with that, 2 different types of plastics that are destruction bond laminated together. A destruction bond, if you don't know, is just, it's so well laminated together that you're basically breaking the bag. You can't separate those 2 plastics. That makes it a single-use plastic, and it's going into your landfill. As you and I want to eliminate that and make sure that we're reusing plastic, and especially polyethylene. Now we're designing a polyethylene, and it's blown in a specific way at our plants that creates rigidity to it. So now it's just a mono-layer PE. Might be 5 or 7 layer, maybe 9 layer, depending on the needs of the customer and the requirements of the contents. And it stands up, which is awesome. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, go. I was just that was really good. I mean, I kind of wanted to emphasize what you were talking about with the pillow bag. For our listeners, if you don't know what a pillow bag is, it's exactly what it sounds like. So when Tom talks or mentions these things, just think of it as literally a pillow. I mean, that's in the frozen food section and stuff like that. So that what he was kind of comparing it to is how it stands up versus how it's laying down. Again, pillow bag, just think of it as exactly what it sounds like. And so again, to kind of circle again back around what you're talking about here is, I mean, it almost sounds like there's carbon footprint here a little bit. You know what I mean? We're trying to lay down the right footprint, the right path for ourselves as individuals, as a company, and even the products that we believe in. And exactly what you're talking about, these are the products that we believe in. This is what we're trying to bring to you guys to show you this is what's going to help the Earth, planet, all that stuff. And I think all the points that you're hitting right now are great. And that's just exactly what we've been leading up to this point and talking about. So
right on.
Great.
Right on. So let's deep dive into why surface print stand-up pouches or stand-up bags are way better than a laminated. Yeah. We already hit sustainability, right? It's inherently recyclable. Number 4, go into your store, drop off. It's pre-certified. That's so cool. Yeah, Number 2, absolutely. It eliminates the lamination step. And why that's important is, first of all, there's a lot of waste in lamination. Most of the time you're using like a 2-part lamination adhesive. And if your ratios aren't perfect, it's like a catalyst and the adhesive. If those ratios aren't perfect, you don't get a good bond. And then you have to splice that out. So the amount of waste of material is way higher with lamination. Number 1. Number 2, the lamination adhesive takes usually 1 to 4 days, depending on the type of lamination adhesive you're using, to cure. So it affects your lead times, right? So for example, for us, for surface print, we're usually, when art is complete, we're a 4-week lead time until we're ready to ship. If it's a laminated structure, it's 6 weeks. So it adds 2 weeks lead time. And in our fast food in society that we live in today, everybody wants something yesterday. So being able to knock, 33% off of your lead times by moving to this, awesome.
Yeah. I mean, even 6 weeks to 4 weeks. I mean, that's even, in the industry, that is an amazing time frame. I mean, that's just something that we offer. And most of the time you're looking at 12 or more weeks. So, just to be able to have 4 to 6 weeks at your disposal is pretty crazy.
Yeah, no doubt. It is really a nice change. And if you think about energy consumption, if you're eliminating that lamination step, that's less power going to your laminator. And those laminators, like a Norm Mechanica or something like that, they run at 1,300 feet per minute. They're fast. So there's a pretty decent engine and a pretty decent power draw on those laminators, plus all of the other tooling involved in the lamination in order to get that to run. So we're just eliminating that power usage and we're going right from basically extruding the plastic, extruding the polyethylene, printing the polyethylene, and then slitting and sending out roll stock. So it's really nice for us.
Yeah, that's a lot of that stuff, like what you're saying, extruding the PE. How long is that process, you think? Extruding PE,
Yeah, so in our plants, each plant has 6 extrusion lines. And you can extrude polyethylene really quickly. And that's a huge issue for us as far as being able to control our supply chain, because we blow our own polyethylene, but what we don't do is extrude polypropylene or polyester. Those 2 different substrates we have to source and buy. So if there's a shortage of it or something like that, we're in a bit of a bind because we have all the polyethylene and the base resin pellets and all that stuff, but we're waiting on polyester to finish a job. Even worse if it has to be like a heat sealable polyester to do like a lap seal or a matte polyester. Those are in lower demand, so our lead times are longer, the cost goes up. But by moving to the surface print pure PE structure, we're controlling the complete supply chain because we have the base resin in-house and then we can blow it. And that really helps a lot with the lead times as well, right? From 6 to 4, we don't have to wait on, container loads, truckloads of polyester to come in order to create the bag. We could just create it basically from scratch in-house. So that's a nice bonus as well.
Huge bonus. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then another bonus that we have with that is you can lap seal surface print. So lap seal to fin seal, usually you use about an extra 1/4 of an inch or a 1/2 inch to make a fin seal. Basically, a fin seal is when you go B side to B side and you stick that together. And if you've ever held a pillow bag and you can pop it up, it looks like a fin. If you were to hold a pillow bag flat, it would look like a fin, and that's called a fin seal. With a lap seal, you go A side to B side. So you need less material in order to do that. And it doesn't sound like much. It's like, let's say your repeat is 8 inches, right? And you're only saving a 1/2 of an inch, but multiply that by 2 million bags and you're saving and you're reducing your demand on plastic and the demand of, or the amount of plastic that you're putting out into the system. So that's a nice deal. Now there's a potential downside with surface print is that your inks are exposed to the heat jaws when you're forming the bag and sealing the bag. So what we do there is we will put a lacquer over the ink so that when the heat jaws hit it, it doesn't pick ink off or create any type of pinholes in your ink. And of course, we'll spot apply that if you're doing a lap seal to make sure there's no lacquer where you're doing that lap seal, because the lacquer would make your bonds really bad. So we'll just strategically apply that lacquer so that it's not where your seal area is. And in trials, we're not showing, and this is the most important thing to growers and packers or just co-packers, is it's not a decrease in throughput. Everybody's like, yeah, Tom, that's cool. We can move the sustainability. But if I move from 65 bags a minute down to 45 in order to run this product, that kills me. I need pounds per day. And I need to run through a certain amount of pounds per day for my profitability. And we're not seeing any type of slowdown. Now, do we have to come on site with trial rolls and dial in and decrease temperatures and do a bunch of stuff to make sure you're dialed in? Absolutely. But after that, we're just taking pictures of all the settings, the pressure, your cross jaw temps, your vertical jaw temps, your bags per minute, all of those different things. We just take pictures of it so the operator can then just go in and just replicate those settings and go ahead and run these bags and not have any issue.
Yeah. And like you were saying too, whenever someone orders a big quantity for even a better price, because of the quantity they're ordering, they also get to store it for double the time frame too, so there is a time, most people only get to store most of this stuff in a warehouse for 90 days, and then we're double that. So that's pretty important too. So not only are you saving, but you're also getting to store it for longer.
That 180 days warehousing is really something that we're proud of, because it allows you, if you've ever sourced packaging, right? And let's say you go through, let me try to think of a nice round number to make the math make sense. Yeah, let's say you're buying 1.2 million bags of a particular item. If you have 90 days, you might only be able to buy 60 days worth of a time, because you don't want to go all the way out. You want to give yourself like a 30-day buffer. So that's 6 orders, right, of 200,000. And with the economies of scale and going to 180 days, you know that your price, if you're buying 200,000, is going to be pretty high. But if you're buying way higher amount at one time in a production run, then your price drops. So if you move to 180 days, then we recommend you buy 4 months at a time and give yourself, or 5 months at a time and give yourself a month or two buffer there. And that way you don't buy a bunch of product and then the brand calls you and is like, hey, we're going through a design change, and you have 6 months worth of inventory. You're like, do I have to throw this out? Will you allow me to run through my existing inventory before we implement the design change? So 4 months, usually they'll let you run through. 6 months, they might be like, no, you're going to have to toss bags, and nobody likes throwing away perfectly good bags because of a design change. Yep. So the 180 days allows you to buy 4 months. So instead of 200,000, you're buying 400,000. And usually that'll drop your packaging spend like 20%, 25%. So definitely take advantage of the 180 days. And what we're trying to do with our customers is really get into data visualization and looking at every single SKU and say, hey, this is how you were buying before. If you bought this way, you're going to reduce your packaging spend by some odd percent. So we really want our customers to take full advantage of that. And a lot of times it's education and just reminding them, hey, we're 180 days, not 90. Here's what we recommend. So we're dumping a lot of dollars into IT to get all that data visualization and to just kick that out, and then just start having quarterly business reviews with our growers and packers and say, hey, this is how you're buying now. If you buy this way, you're going to save $30,000 a year on this particular item or something like that. So that's really what we're trying to get to. So
huge. I'm kind of biased in that category because, as a customer service rep for for Freedom, I just think we're the best. I always believe that, and that's just me being biased. So, but that's just my words of wisdom going out there. So, but yeah, we'll move on. I promise.
Well, we've got plenty of room for improvement, but that's, just our mantra is, analyze, adjust, and never be satisfied with the status quo. What can we do better tomorrow that we're not doing today?
Yep. I do have a question. And I'm sure it's been something since the past 2 podcasts we've been kind of talking about a little bit, is why is PE called poly?
Yeah, that's kind of, it bothers me, right? Because almost every single plastic has the beginning of poly, right? We have polyester, we have polypropylene, we have polyethylene, even uncompostable, you have PBSA, which is polybutylene succinate adipate, or I don't know, chemistry stuff. But almost every polyolefin, I mean, everything starts with poly, right? So it kind of makes me think of like pickles. Pickles are actually pickled cucumbers, but why do the cucumbers get the one where it's just called pickles, but everything else you have to define what it is? And that's where we're at with poly. And poly doesn't even save you time because we're using acronyms for these things. So I think from a sustainable standpoint, we should be calling out what the actual product is, as opposed to saying poly. It's the same syllables to say PE. And then we know it's number 4 and it goes into that store drop off. You could say PET, all these different things, but it just, I don't know why it bothers me so much. So this is my futile effort to change the industry. When it's just a pure PE bag, but everybody's like, yeah, I just need some poly bags. Can we just start saying, I want some PE bags? It just clears it up. I think it could just be better nomenclature in the industry, and that may never catch on, and I get it. So I'll just stay angry forever.
Yeah, it's a good step forward right here. This is where it starts, here.
Yeah. So that's
footprint in the mud.
Yeah. So that's where we're going with PE and sustainability. So from now on, we're never going to say poly bags. We're going to say PE bags, at least on this podcast and at Freedom Packaging. And we'll see if it catches on as we go out into the world and spread our ridiculous gospel, because that makes me way more mad than it really should. I'm unreasonable about it. I wanted to talk to you because you had mentioned this in passing, but I wanted to get more detail. You had mentioned that you turned your family onto the podcast and it's starting to have an impact. Can you give me some detail on that?
So my family was extremely ecstatic. So let's watch it whenever it comes out. So, you and I made our first video, then our second video, sent them the video, of course. And man, they were so intrigued and so excited for it. And they said it sounded so good. And it actually made them start turning towards, they were already recycling, but like we talked about last time, there's so much more that we could be doing. And my family now is just, especially my grandma, my parents now, Again, they always recycled, but now it's just skyrocketed to so much better. And now they view how we can save the ocean much better. How we can just get our foot forward every single day. They absolutely love it. They love you, Tom. They were like, man, this guy is smart. And I'm like, yeah, that's why I just ask him the questions. I was like, I'm just going to pick his brain the whole time. But
I have a lot of experience in selling snake oil, so I'm just I'm a con man. So don't listen to me. Oh, and that, I'm glad you bring that up because I'm not the smartest person at all. But we forgot our disclaimer. I think we did it at the beginning of the first two, but if we get anything wrong, please, I'm not proud enough. Jeff's not proud enough to fight for our position. If you're a packaging engineer or chemist or something like that, and you're like, you totally airballed on that, please write it in the comments or shoot us an email. And then we'll have you on the next. Yeah. Love to have you on. Yeah, that's great. And then in the next podcast, we'll go back and make corrections, right? Like,
it's always about getting better. I mean, that's kind of why we're here. We're just, I think as trying to accomplish a goal is just doing it, and I think that's what we're doing right now. That's what we're doing. We're just doing it. We're trying to get, out there. We're trying to get our voices out there. And yeah, this is great. So again, what Tom was saying, if we do anything wrong, just let us know, but we would love to have you on the podcast if you correct us. So
yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So
yeah. This was good.
Yeah, I did have, was there something else I wanted to bring up today? No, I can't think of anything, besides obviously,
talking about next podcast.
Oh, maybe? Yeah. Next podcast. Yeah. Stay tuned. And this podcast is going out on, I forget what day, the 6th, August 6th. Today is August 6th, but we're pre-recording. It's not, but it's airing August 6th. So there you go. And then 2 weeks from that, every Tuesday again, every other Tuesday, we're going to be coming out with a new episode, and we're going to be talking about PFAS, and its impact on packaging. So if you don't know what PFAS is, a company called DuPont created Teflon, and it's basically polyfluorocarbons, or I got to get my speech right. I haven't prepared for that one yet, but
no worries.
They're really small molecule chains that your body can't break down. So if you absorb them, then usually they're a carcinogen and they cause cancer. However, they're a process aid. So we'll dig into how it impacts packaging and costing and what we're trying to do. But ultimately, just like with Prop 65 back in the day, if you remember that, California led the charge, and now California is not taking any additional PFAS packaging, and we're going to discuss how the industry is responding to some regulatory challenges that presents. So that's in 2 weeks from today. So that's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge one, considering we're going to talk about the negative effects on the human health. So that's huge.
Yeah.
So definitely want to tune into that one. And, I mean, I think we had a good podcast this session. This was great.
It's nice. It's weird filming at home. I kind of like it when we're side by side, but it's got the New Heights feel with Jason and Travis Kelce, and maybe, one of us will start dating Tay Swift here. So that'll be cool.
You never know. Yep.
I think my wife would actually approve of that. I got to stop bringing it.
I was going to say, I'll start wearing the Travis's hats, same hats he wears all the time. I'll start wearing those in here, and we just completely transition into what they do on their podcast.
Well, I'm a Philly guy, so I'm more of a Jason Kelce fan. Like, I'm a diehard Eagles guy, and Jason is awesome. So,
we'll have to switch our camera angles.
And it makes sense because Travis is a little taller. You've got more of a tight end build. I've got more of like a running back build, but we'll just say center.
Yeah.
Super short center.
Super equivocal.
All right.
Well, brother, thank you so much again for today. This was great. I can't wait to do this again. I can't wait for everyone to hear the next episode, and that's all I got today.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Jeff, thank you so much for the time. Thank you for all of our listeners, subscribers. Again, if you like the podcast and you're finding it useful, please tell your friends, hit the like button, please subscribe, tell everybody to subscribe. If you don't mind, we could definitely use a bigger following. And we like feedback. So if we're boring or you have some topics that you want us to discuss, please throw them in the comments section. And you can find our podcast on YouTube, on our website, which is freedompackaging.com. At the top, you'll see that the podcast link is there. Spotify is still pending, right? They still want us to prove that we're actually creating this content. So as soon as we get Spotify up, we'll share that link in the comments section as well. So please, take a look, take a listen, and give us all the feedback. We like all the feedback. We need to get better. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was great. Packaging world, we love you. We're out.